You are trapped in a room with a cat, Muo, strapped to a table in front of you. The door you took to get here has vanished. There is no way out. Speaking to the butler, he says,
Muo has been very bad.
He hands you a key, but you still can't escape. You approach the kitten. Muo stares at you. She does not know what is happening. Muo stares at you. She tilts her head out of curiosity. Muo stares at you. Her eyes widen. She wants to go now. Muo stares at you. She struggles to break free. Muo stares at you. Her eyes are filled with desperation. Muo stares at you. She tries to scream, but there is no sound. Muo stares at you. She does not know what is happening. You cut open Muo. Speaking to the butler again, he asks,
"Waiting for something to happen?"
a phrase that's familiar to you. And as you fall, you realize that you've taken an innocent life for nothing. You are a monster. We live in a world where horror is disgustingly oversaturated. Every other person seems to have made a bad horror game at some point in time, and even beloved franchises are falling off, with the whole scene being filled with child-friendly aesthetics and an over-reliance on jump scares, with a spooky image showing up while your favorite streamer's soy faces in the corner. But amid all of this, there's a single game that doesn't really seem to care for it. OMORI is a psychological horror game, and the most frightening parts don't have a loud audio stinger. It lets you sit with the feeling, never overdoing it, giving you a breather just to pull you right back in. It's never without purpose. The game begins in white space. The room, if you could call it that, is almost empty. The only things present are a notebook filled with drawings, a tissue box for wiping your sorrows away, a laptop with your journal on it, a strange black light bulb hanging from the ceiling, and a cat named Muo who asks, "Waiting for something to happen?" The room loops back on itself, and there are red hands to catch you and send you back to the center if you ever wander too far. After interacting with a few things, a knife falls from the ceiling. Once you pick it up, you can leave through a white door. You enter into Neighbor's room, an environment vastly more welcoming than the sharp tones and uncomfortable feeling that encapsulates white space. There's a photo on the counter across from you, a photo of someone familiar. You can't make out the figure pictured, but it's set up in a way that appears reminiscent of some kind of memorial. A memorial of someone who's died. There's also a massive yellow cat here, constantly watching, tracking you as you move around the room. It's here you're first introduced to your friends, Kel, Aubrey, and Hero. After returning Aubrey's toy to her, Hero tells you that someone named Basil and your big sister Mari are having a picnic at the playground. As you leave, a white snake stops you and gives you your allowance for today. You can use clams primarily to buy items for use later, many of which are actually really powerful tools later on in the game. Arriving at the playground, you meet up with Basil and Mari, and something becomes rather apparent. Omori doesn't really belong in this world. Even just looking at the sprites and environment in the overworld, everything is painted with a bright, happy color palette, which is in stark contrast to Omori, who seems far better suited to the cold color scheme of white space. Not only this, but looking at a floating mirror in the playground, your friends all smile behind you, but Omori seems melancholy, unfeeling. While speaking with Basil and Mari, you're shown Basil's photo album, which is filled with memories of Omori and his friends. Even in these happy photos, Omori is flat, and his monochrome color scheme stands out almost comically at points. You decide to head to Basil's house with everyone. Well, everyone except Mari, who stays behind at her picnic. Mari's picnics appear all over the world, even in the most bizarre places. Her picnic basket serves as your save point throughout the game, and even when Mari herself isn't present, her basket always will be. Going south along the path to Basil's house, you find an angry sprout mole, and the combat tutorial starts. The combat in Omori is actually really interesting, especially during some boss fights, even if the idea of turn-based combat puts you to sleep. The core mechanic of this game's combat is emotion. There are 4 main emotional states with varying levels of intensity. Well, there's technically 5, but I'll get to that later. It's obviously very thematic for the game, and it's really impressive how well it all works. Emotions form a triangle of sorts, like Pokemon typings, where each type of emotion is effective or moving against another emotion, just as they're weak or dull against another. Happy beats angry, angry beats sad, and sad beats happy, with neutral sitting squarely in the center. But emotions aren't exclusively types that are affected against each other. Each emotion has benefits and drawbacks aside from how they interact with others. Happy boosts speed and critical rate at the cost of accuracy. Angry boosts attack at the cost of defense. And sad boosts defense, converts some of the damage you take into damage to your mana supply, juice, and lowers both your attack and your speed. Because of these differences to stats, depending on how either you or an enemy influences emotions throughout the fight, your game plan might change entirely from the norm, forcing variance and versatility. It's also worth mentioning that the 3 main emotions have 3 possible stages, with each stage increasing the benefits and drawbacks alike. Only Omori and certain bosses can reach the 3rd stage of each emotion, which is very interesting to me, considering Omori's cliff-faced demeanor. Along the path to his house, Basil explains how he's connected each of his flowers to one of his friends. Basil wants to be like a sunflower, always facing towards the sun. Hero is versatile and universally loved, much like roses. Cal is as tenacious as a cactus. Aubrey has strength of character represented by the gladiolus, and Mari is a guiding force, helping people see a brighter future, the lily of the valley. But one of these descriptors stands out to me. The flower for Omori. These are white tulips. Plain, simple, and bulbous. Just like OMORI. I don't know about you, but to me that seems kind of cruel. Everybody has something special about them. Something that makes them different and likens them to these flowers. Everybody except OMORI. Devoid of personality, he's relegated to being plain, simple, and bulbous. After finishing off the tutorial boss, you walk up to Basil's house. Aubrey and Kel get into an argument, causing Basil to drop his album and scatter the flowers across the ground. After heading inside and placing all of the photos back in their places, Basil drops one final photo. He picks it up and, despite not recognizing it at first, Mari. She's... A photo of a broken violin flashes on the screen for an instant, before it's gone. You appear in white space. The door is gone. Checking your notebook, there's an extra drawing on the very last page of something. Not much to do around here, is there? Or is there? Are you looking for a way out? There always is one, but waiting for something to happen? You wake up in the middle of the night. You are hungry. Going to the bathroom, you look in the mirror. Sunny has a striking resemblance to OMORI. You try to go downstairs to find something to eat, but as you reach the top of the stairs, Sunny simply shakes his head and backs away. You don't want to look down. Having nothing else to do, you try to go back to bed. But you're too hungry to sleep. Leaving your room, the house has changed. There's a strange red light shining in through the window. All the doors are locked. You begin walking down the stairs. They're impossibly high. Black hands reach up from below and soon they start to close in on you from all sides. You pick up the knife and something starts chasing you. Until it catches you. Your attacks do nothing. Something pushes you and mocks you from the darkness. Suddenly an unknown voice calls out to you, and you remember how to calm down. You've made it to the bottom of the stairs, despite your fear. There's a door to the right, but Sonny refuses to enter it again, simply shaking his head. The same is true of the back door to the house, which presumably leads to the house's back garden. Something is different about these doors. Something Sonny is terrified to face. Heading into the kitchen, you pick up a steak knife and heat up some steak. It doesn't go down well. After throwing up in the bathroom, you hear a loud knocking at the door. Heading back downstairs to investigate, you find that it's Mari. She's forgotten her keys and she wants you to open the door for her. You open the door. Back in the bathroom, you look in the mirror and there's something behind you. You wake up in white space. Interacting with your laptop, a new menu opens. The Hangman menu. There are keys scattered around the world, and collecting them fills out a game of Hangman. This is important to do, but I won't mention every key you collect, only the most important ones. After collecting a map that fell from the ceiling, you venture out into neighbor's room. Your friends tell you that Basil has gone missing, and apparently you did too. Hero tells you to go see Mari, as she's been worried about you. You collect your allowance from the snake, and you head out. There's bloody footprints leading south from the stump towards the playground. After meeting Mari, she hugs you, and Hero suggests returning to Basil's house, just in case they missed anything. Something sits in the middle of Basil's house, but it disappears right before you enter. It leaves a small hole in the floor in its wake. None of your friends seem to notice, as to them, nothing seems out of the ordinary. You decide to look around the forest for Basil and leave his house. Heading east, you find a ladder ascending into the sky, but you can't climb it, because OMORI is afraid of heights. Backtracking, you find a small enclave in the forest. Just a tire swing. Going west this time, after searching for a while, you stop, as it seems unlikely that Basil is actually in the forest. Returning to Mari, you decide to climb a ladder into space that's just east of the stump. Heading there, you find more bloody footprints leading up to the ladder. Your vision starts to tunnel, as those same black hands that tormented Sonny close in. You are no longer afraid of heights. As you start to climb, it seems your friends forget you were ever afraid of heights in the first place. Man, I know there's a reason we never climbed this ladder, but I just can't put my finger on it. I feel at this point it's fairly obvious that this is something of a dream world for Sunny, but at this point that leaves you with more questions than answers. Why is OMORI not just called Sunny? What really happened to Basil? What really happened to Max? Upon reaching the top of the ladder, you enter Otherworld. You head north and you arrive at Captain Spaceboy's house. He's murmuring about his sweet jelly-filled donut and someone named Sweetheart. After hearing that he's fallen into a depression, you agree to help him, being told that he needs a special mixtape to break out of this episode, but it's been lost in the junkyard. On the way there, you casually wage war against all of planet Earth. It's pretty easy. In the junkyard, you unlock your friend's special overworld abilities. OMORI can slice through things with his knife. Aubrey can smash things with her bat. Kel can throw things. And Hero is a master manipulator.
All the people that we've killed, Gale, and the rest.
In the junkyard, you find a photo of someone familiar. The exact same one you saw in Neighbor's room. But once you interact with it, it vanishes. After searching for the mixtape, you eventually find a sprout mole named Rosa, who has taken it from the trash. She refuses to give it back, so you give chase. Eventually, you find her and take it back after fighting the embodiment of the fourth wall. Returning to Captain Spaceboy, Kel plays the mixtape carelessly, ignoring the conversation that reveals that Captain Spaceboy and Sweetheart have broken up, and that this special mixtape is filled with Sweetheart's songs. He wakes up livid, and the first real boss fight against Captain Spaceboy begins. There are a couple of combat mechanics that I didn't touch on before. Stat management is a huge amount of OMORI's combat. The first time I played this game, I completely ignored debuffs and buffs, which made the game significantly harder. There are obviously benefits to dropping every stat of an enemy, but the main thing I want to talk about is speed. You might not think so initially, God knows I definitely didn't, but speed is incredibly important in OMORI's combat system. Actions are queued at the beginning of every turn in OMORI, which means you can't react to what enemies do until every character in the fight has taken an action that turn. Furthermore, if an enemy is faster than all of your characters, there's often nothing you can do to prevent one of your friends from becoming toast before they can act. Because of how the action economy in OMORI works, this is pretty disastrous. One party member going down before they act means missing 3 actions. That character's action that turn, another character's action next turn to revive them, and their action the turn that they're revived to. This means that the loss of one party member can snowball into losing an entire fight. Not only that, but having lower speed forces you to play predictively rather than reactively. Predicting enemy actions is nigh impossible in my experience, meaning that having higher speed dramatically reduces the RNG in a fight. One last thing worth mentioning is that on taking lethal damage, rather than going down like any other party member, OMORI does not succumb. This leaves him with 1 HP and can only be triggered once every fight. Now the actual Space Boyfriend fight is really good, and is what I'd consider to be the first actual boss in the game so far. He's not too difficult for where he is in the game, with his mechanics being easy to work with. He can only make one party member sad at a time, with this being the only way for him to influence the party's emotions. He also locks himself into angry, only being able to become angrier throughout the fight. Once he reaches Furious, he can deal a huge amount of damage, but his defense is also reduced by 70% in this state, balancing the insane damage with his own vulnerability. It really helps with creating a feeling of escalation through the damage numbers on both sides growing. Overall, I like this fight a lot. It's definitely an A tier. After defeating Space Boyfriend, he apologizes to you profusely and sends you on your way with a train pass and a snow cone ticket. You go back to looking for Basil. Exiting Captain Spaceboy's house, you see bloody footprints, leading back to the ladder you came up. Following them, you see a shadow figure of Basil? As you follow him west, your friends all disappear from behind you. Throughout the field, you see what you can assume to be memories of Sonny's, represented by objects that disappear from the world as you witness them. Umbrellas, playing cards, toys, a birthday cake. Following the figure, you enter into a barn with that same red light in it as you saw earlier. After entering, you follow the figure into a picture of a blue sky. You find yourself on a dark stairway. Walking up them, you find sheet music, a portrait of a happy family, and
Waiting for something to happen?
you wake up in bed to the sound of loud knocking at your door. Apparently, it's Kel, come to see you again after hearing that you're going to be moving away. Assuming that you haven't been completely traumatized by the end of last night, you open the door. Kel is genuinely shocked that you opened the door for him. Whoa, you actually came out. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, Sonny, I really didn't expect you to come out today, so I don't really have a game plan here. Kel suggests going to a shop you used to frequent as kids, Hobbies. Upon entering, something immediately stands out. A cardboard cutout of Space Boyfriend sits in front of the counter. A comic book character. Nothing more. While here, Kel decides to buy Hero a present. He's returning from college tomorrow and he's studying to become a doctor. After searching the store, you find a cookbook Hero had when he was younger and decide to get that for him. You and Kel walk to the park together, where you witness Basil begging someone to ask her to give it back. You intervene with Kel. Aubrey is shocked that Sonny is present. How long has it been since you left your house? 3 years? Maybe 4? 4 years. Sonny hasn't gone outside for 4 years and it shows. Hero's in college. Kel has new friends now. But the person who's changed by far the most is Aubrey. She's dyed her hair to a bright pink and there's a vitriol that wasn't in her before. She's taken to tormenting Basil and seems to hold some animosity for Sonny. You and Kel, trying to protect Basil, confront her. Conditioned by your time in the dream world, you attack her without really thinking about it. But this isn't a dream. Is that a knife? You've just attacked Aubrey with a steak knife. A completely unhinged thing to do. But it's not just a reflection of your conditioning as a player. It shows how disjointed from reality Sonny has become. He's maladjusted to the outside world, made himself completely estranged because of his own self-imposed 4-year isolation. This is shown even more in how the dream world leaks into the real world, with characters and enemies from the former appearing in the latter, but disappearing when you try to interact with them. Aubrey doubles over and flees with her friends. Thankfully, she doesn't seem to have been hurt too badly. Kel takes your knife from you, scolding you for carrying such a thing. You decide to walk Basil home, and just as you turn to leave, he begs you to wait. Aubrey has taken his photo album, and he pleads with you to get it back for him. After tracking down each of Aubrey's new friends, you eventually learn that she's in the church at the far end of town. You walk into the sermon and confront Aubrey for a second time. Upon Kel mentioning Mari's name, Aubrey says, "Huh, really? You really want to bring Mari into this? Who cares what Mari thinks? Mari's dead." The argument continues, and Aubrey claims that she's the one keeping it safe. Aubrey tries to leave, but you and Kel step out to stop her. At this point, the entire congregation starts whispering. Aubrey takes out her bat and attacks. As the fight ends, the whispers continue. And Aubrey flees. Following Aubrey back to her house, you witness her throw the photo album into the trash. Kel digs it out and you return to Basil's house. Basil's caretaker, Polly, answers the door. After returning the album, you're invited to stay for dinner at Basil's house. Kel suggests you all look over the photo album together, and Basil, though seemingly nervous about it, reluctantly agrees. Several photos are missing from the album, but several of the photos present are ones that you haven't seen before. And many of the ones you have seen in the dream world are still missing. After looking through the photo album, when talking to Basil, he seems very uneasy around you. Why are you staring at me like that? Sonny? Is everything okay? You enter Basil's grandma's room. A white egret orchid. In the language of flowers, it symbolizes the phrase, "My thoughts will follow you into your dreams." Basil enters behind you, trying to have a conversation with you. But you do not respond. Basil reassures you that his grandmother can't hear you, before deciding to give you the photo album to keep for yourself. It's a really sweet gesture, considering Sonny is going to be moving away very soon. When you sit down for dinner, Kel mentions this to Basil, but he's surprised. He didn't know. Basil runs to the bathroom, and everyone else thinks nothing of it. But you have a strange feeling about how Basil has been acting. Something isn't right. You decide to follow Basil. Everything is going to be okay. 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 Oh, it's you. Sonny, you're here. I'm so glad. You can see it too, can't you? Something behind you. Why? Why do you look so scared? Everything is okay now, isn't it? Wait. Please, Sonny. Don't leave me. Not again. You need to get home. There are bugs everywhere. Picking up a knife from the kitchen, you cut through the web that's blocking your way. There's something at the bottom of the stairs. Long black hair spread out from it. To the left you can see a door? But it's out of reach. You climb the stairs. At the top of the stairs, something blocks your way. It seems like there's a lot going on. You need to block out the little things and figure out what's important. You clear your mind and remember how to focus. A single spider sits in the middle of the floor ahead of you. You crush it beneath your heel. Looking into the mirror, it disappears. But that doesn't mean it's gone. You go to bed, hoping to escape. Back in the dream world, you meet up with your friends. Aubrey is quite overtly into OMORI now, suggesting that he and Aubrey leave Kel and Hiro behind to go forward on their own. The idea is shot down by Hiro and you leave to see Mari after collecting your allowance for today. She suggests heading to the west of the stump to search the Firefly Forest, which is infested with spiders. Hiro and OMORI are terrified of spiders, but they agree to go with support from their friends. On the way there, you run into some very eloquent sprout moles who attack you upon realizing that they're lost. You strip tickets to a show off of their cold, dead bodies and continue onwards. Cutting through the first spider web, your vision tunnels again. You are no longer afraid of spiders. You eventually arrive at the sprout mole colony. Going to the show you took the tickets for, you sit down in your front row seats with your friends. Eventually the power goes out and it's on you to fix it. After plugging in the power, you return to your seats, but not before Hero is taken by a sprout mole to do a job of some kind. Sweetheart takes the stage, and Hero is revealed to be one of the contestants. This is a show designed to find Sweetheart a spouse since she's left Captain Spaceboy. After Hero rejects Sweetheart's marriage proposal, you are all thrown in the dungeon. While escaping from the dungeon, you crawl through a hole in the wall and arrive in some kind of torture chamber. It's filled with skeletons, and four at the end of the room look familiar. Eventually, you escape the dungeon and arrive in Sweetheart's castle. While exploring this area, you help sprout moles prepare for Sweetheart's wedding around the castle, and read some beautiful poetry, all while wearing sprout mole masks to remain hidden. After each task, you fight a mini-boss, and after beating the last of the three, you're free to enter the courtyard. After collecting 4 words to make a password from some undeniably intelligent life forms, you tell the statue in the center of the courtyard the password, and enter into a cellar that eventually leads back to the room you started in. A marriage ceremony is taking place, and it turns out that Sweetheart is going to marry herself. You of course intervene because that's really, really sad, and then the boss fight begins. I just want to take a minute here to say that the boss music in this game is actually incredible. The artwork for the bosses are also filled with personality and are generally just a joy to look at for however long a boss might take to beat. Sweetheart is the first fight in the game that I would actually feel confident calling challenging. Her mechanics make it so that, similar to the Space Boyfriend fight, she's locked into one emotion, not being happy in this case. When she eventually reaches Manic, what I mentioned before about speed management becomes incredibly important, as she hits all party members for a huge amount of damage and can inflict angry on everyone, which you might remember is weak to happy. Sweetheart is a damn near perfect boss fight, so I mean she gets an easy S tier. Eventually, you take her down. Captain Spaceboy enters in his ship, the two make up and go off to live happily ever after together. Sweetheart blows up the stage on her way out. When you turn to leave, you see the shadow figure again, walking into the hole. You follow it. This place is filled with books containing what appear to be memories of Sunny's, but all the names are blanked out. It's not particularly difficult to decipher who's being talked about in each book, as the number of blank spaces is equal to the number of letters in a character's name, with the exception of Sunny, who's represented by one single blank space. After reading all of these stories, something somewhere in the library opens. You see an opening in one of the bookcases with a familiar red light shining out of it. Don't forget, it's in the toy box.
Waiting for something to happen?
You wake up in bed. Heading downstairs, you meet Kel at the door. Today's the day that Hero's coming home. Kel has to collect things from the shops at the plaza to prepare for Hero's welcome home. Along the way to the plaza, you run into Basil in the park. He's very evasive about yesterday when Kel asks about it, and he generally seems off. Even compared to yesterday. He refuses to tag along with you, but still says that he'll see you later. It's worth noting that you can take on part-time jobs during these segments to collect a little bit of extra cash for items. 2 are basically just really menial tasks, swatting flies and rearranging shelves, but 1 is kind of a standout in my opinion. Delivering pizzas is by far my favorite job, as all you have to do is pick out a house that is beautifully and articulately described on each finely crafted note that your boss hands you at the start of your shift. The unique handwriting present in this minigame is reminiscent of many modern art pieces, designed to incite questions in the viewer such as, where am I going? Why me? And not least of all, what the fuck does this even mean? Continuing on, you collect what you need from the bakery and head to Gino's Pizza. Aubrey and her friends are there, talking about their quote-unquote secret hangout spot. You collect your order and move on, heading back to Kel's house. After a short conversation with Kel's mom, Basil's caretaker Polly bursts in through the door and tells you that Basil has gone missing. Considering his mental state, this is more than a little concerning. You go out to look for Basil, and go back to where you last saw him. The park. You hear someone screaming for help nearby. Kel says it must be coming from your old hangout spot. Going north through the trees, you find Aubrey and her gang trying to throw Basil out of this place, having claimed it for themselves. They start a fight with you. Having to fight all of them at once seems intimidating, but they're easily beaten using some pepper spray you took from Kel's house earlier. After their defeat, the hooligans all flee. All except for Aubrey. Falling to her knees, she completely breaks down. She feels abandoned by her friends, and as she sees it, nobody was there for her after Mari's death, but she holds a special contempt for Basil. How dare you still show your face to me after what you did? Completely overwhelmed, she pushes Basil into the lake. Do you want to save Basil? you appear back at home. You see Mari and start to run after her, slowly closing the gap as long black tendrils close in. Something drags you down. Steady your heartbeat. Don't be afraid. It's not as scary as you think. You have to keep going. Don't give up. No matter how impossible it seems, you reach out to the voice and remember how to persist. Hero has saved you from drowning. Despite your awakening, Basil remains unconscious. He's breathing steadily, but you have to get him home quickly. You rush him home, and Hero assures you that Basil will be okay. After updating Hero on everything that's happened with Aubrey, you head back to Kel's house to have dinner. After grabbing and heating up your dinner, you sit down and look through the photo album, and Hero points out something you might not have noticed before. Mari is absent from every photo left in the album. Did Aubrey get rid of them? After you finish up with the photo album, Hero mentions that he wants to see Sonny's house one last time before he moves away. After buying flowers for his mother to apologize, you return home. Your friends reminisce upon entering the house, and when entering the hallway with the staircase, Hero says, "Ah, I remember this hallway. The closet was to the left and the piano room was to the right." Hero goes ahead into the piano room, and upon interacting with the wall near where the closet should be, according to Hero, you're told, there is nothing here. For the first time, you enter the piano room. After Hero plays a short piece, he asks if Sonny still plays the violin, noticing its absence, and remembers a song Sonny used to play with Mari. Looking at the piano, you get a grand piano. The word OMORI is etched across the center. As you go to leave, Kel and Hero run ahead to set up a bed for themselves. When you enter the next room, you hear a familiar song. When you go into Mom's room, you see Mari standing in front of a red picnic basket. She turns around to face you and disappears. Back in your room, Kel gives Hero your gift for him, and they both soon fall asleep. You decide to follow suit. There is no one here. It is deafeningly silent. Trying to go back into white space, you look inside. I think it's safe to say you won't be returning anytime soon. Walking up to the snake, you don't get any allowance today. All you get is a waiting for something to happen. The music seems more sinister now. Cold, lifeless. Going down to the playground, you mean? Nobody. It's empty. You can play here, completely by yourself, or with the mirror you can play hide and seek. Upon finding the poorly hidden mirror, you get a cheery message, which only exaggerates OMORI's empty expression. If you try to go south, you're greeted by a wall of fog, forcing you to go back. North of the stump, you finally run into another person, Mari. You've never seen her outside of her picnics, so this is a surprise to say the least, but just be grateful that you're not completely alone. OMORI, you're here. I'm so glad you found me. There's a thick fog enveloping the entire forest. Everywhere except here. Maybe your friends are somewhere across the water. I'll keep you company, so you're not alone. I know you really hate that. You step up to the end of the pier. Steady your heartbeat. Don't be afraid. It's not as scary as you think. It's been Mari's voice reaching you all this time, during moments that you needed it the most. You are no longer afraid of drowning. Crossing the water, you see shadow figures similar to the one of Basil walking around and skulking behind trees. Upon reaching the other side, Mari tells OMORI how proud of him she is for swimming across the water. But there's still one big thing you're afraid of, isn't there? Something a little bit harder to overcome. As you head on, you see memories of Sunny's being acted out by these shadow figures, with many of them being recognizable from the photo album before they disappear into the fog. But there's one memory you don't recognize. Basil, standing atop a lone tree stump. You come to a window, the same window as you saw before in the piano room. Mari speaks. OMORI, it seems that you have forgotten something important. Are you okay with that? I'm not so sure. I know I shouldn't have come. It just gets a little lonely without everyone. It's not my place to say anymore, but I hope you're still there. Sunny, I really miss you. Goodbye, little brother. Suddenly you find yourself in a ladder. Descending, you eventually come to the bottom of the ladder and find one of the keys for Hangman. Once you pick it up, it leaves behind a pitch black hole. You enter. You find yourself in Basil's real bedroom, with photos scattered around the floor. When interacting with any of them, you pick them up, only to be shown that they've been scribbled over with black marker. Once you exit the room, you return to where you stood before. And the hole is gone. Walking out of the cave you found yourself in, you emerge into Deepwell. With no other way to go, you take a taxi to the last resort. Once you arrive, you meet Kel at the front gate, and it seems we'll finally return to normalcy. He tells you that while you were gone, everybody got tricked into signing contracts and are forced to work at the last resort. You decide to gather everyone and get them to quit. Just a few steps later, you meet up with Mari, but she seems different compared to the Mari who just disappeared into the window. She doesn't seem to remember meeting you at the pier or guiding you here. This is a different person entirely. Back at the safety of her picnic blanket. But why are you even trying to get everyone to quit their jobs anyway? It was to look for Basil, right? I wouldn't blame you for forgetting. Even Kel needs to be reminded by Mari that that's been your goal from the start. But maybe that's just Kel's carefree nature. Just to the east of here, you find a haunted pool. Inside, you find another key, which leaves another hole behind. You look into it. Once you actually enter the last resort, Kel needs to pee, so you head to the bathroom, and after forcing him to wash his hands, the manky prick, you collect the key. You once again enter the hole. There are 2 tapes on the floor. One labeled Basil, one labeled OMORI. You pick up the one labeled OMORI and watch the other disappear. With nothing else to do, you put the tape into the player. Eventually, you make your way to the 5th floor and rescue Aubrey from the horrors of a 9-to-5 workday. Before meeting with Mr. Jawsome on the floor above. He refuses to let Hero go, and his boss fight starts. To be honest, I think the Mr. Jawsome fight is the weakest in the game. All he really does is spam call ads to come help him, and you can't damage him while either one of them are up, with all damage done to him being deflected onto one or both of them. It gets really frustrating if you can't deal enough damage to end the fight quickly. D tier. I do think this is forgivable though, because in reality this isn't even the real boss fight. Eventually the fight ends and Mr. Jawsome calls his other ultimate employee. Pluto in all his glory. Truly, the mightiest of all planet kind. The Pluto fight is way better than the Jocelyn fight. This motherfucker hits like a goddamn truck. And to be honest, is one of the harder fights that I'm going to talk about. He can buff his attack and defense, and with how hard he hits with debuffs, things can get out of hand pretty quickly. Luckily, he can't influence emotions at all, so he's very vulnerable to whatever set strategy you're running, and you can lock his AI into perma-buffing himself with debuffs. It's kind of a letdown, but when your greatest complaint is that a boss has a weakness, I think it's safe to say it's a fairly good boss fight. B tier. After you win the fight, Mr. Jawsome lets you go. Once you reach the entrance to the last resort, Aubrey suggests drawing a picture of Basil to show to other people so that you can ask around after him. However, the results aren't exactly useful. You leave and take a slight detour to collect another key that you missed earlier, and, as usual, it leaves behind a hole. Since you're already out and about, you head over to Basil's house. The forest around it is dying and, well, the inside isn't faring much better. The floor is sinking, and after just 2 days of absence, the house has fallen into complete disrepair. Looks more like it was trashed than abandoned. You return to Deepwell and find Sweetheart, where she tells you that she and Captain Spaceboy have broken up, manifesting Space ex-husband. She runs off, and you follow in pursuit. Along the way, you find another key, another hole, and look in. After crossing an insanely long bridge, you get to Deeper Well. There's so many cool plants around. I bet Basil would have really liked it here. Basil. He would have really liked it. Right, guys? And then Hero asks something of an odd question. Hey, I have a serious question. Do any of you remember what Basil looks like? At first you're confused. Of course everybody remember what Basil looks like. It's only been 2 days after all. But your friends don't remember. Everything about Basil seems to be fading in their memory. Especially as you get further and further into this dream world. Eventually Hero decides that everything will work out. As long as you have OMORI to keep you on track. With the matter resolved for now, you press on. Progressing deeper into the Deeper Well, eventually you find a character, simply known as Cypher. The sun shined brighter when she was here. I think it's fairly obvious that they're referring to Mari, and things only get stranger from here. While swimming through a cave, you spot a strange red branch coral with a swing hanging from its branches. Shadow Basil sits here, waiting. As you approach the coral, it speaks. A long time has passed since you have ventured this far. Deeper layers of his world open up as the dreamer grows more desperate. Even imagination is limited. You have questions that I can answer. Answers that you have forgotten. I will lay them out for you. If you are curious, you will choose. You ask about your lost friend, Basil. The friend you have lost is not of this world. The day he was removed, he was reborn elsewhere. He is special to you. A string of fate ties you two together. He cannot leave that place alone. To retrieve him, you will have to remove yourself as well, but in a way that is natural for this world. For headspace. This journey is nearing its end. You already know what you have to do, dreamer. Basil is gone. Completely absent from this dream world. Not just absent, however. He was removed. There's intent behind his disappearance. And seeing as the dreamer is likely Sonny, it was probably by his design, consciously or not. But, unfortunately, the branch coral doesn't tell you why. Next, you ask about the big yellow cat. Before this world was created, there existed 3 great creatures. The oldest, the wisest, and the favorite. The oldest is alive, but not the same as he once was. Age has removed his conscience, and he has evolved into a parasite within himself. He lives here, just beyond this cavern. The wisest, against her reason, committed an act that opposed the dreamer's will. It is an act that is not even known to me. As a result, she was stripped of her wisdom and banished to isolation, a special prison somewhere deep, deep down. The last, and the favorite, the big yellow cat, was chosen to watch over the dreamer's most precious room. He remains the dreamer's favorite even to this day, watching diligently, waiting for something to happen. This is vague, to say the least. All that's really important to take from this is that the big yellow cat is a protector, watching over OMORI and his friends, helping them to feel safe when threatened, and keeping an eye on the dreamer's most precious room. White space. Finally, you ask the coral about white space. To be in white space is to be nothing. White space is emptiness, a home without warmth, a place to survive but not live. Even still, your conscience cannot be erased. It will always find a way. Even in white space, it will take the form, and if one wills it, something will be formed to subdue it. A hanging black light bulb, the repression of an idea. Yes. Perhaps it is time to admit that you are human, dreamer. Of course, your friends acknowledge none of this strangeness, indicating that rather than a cohesive part of Headspace, these messages were for Sonny, not OMORI, and certainly not for OMORI's friends. It also seems that the black bulb is failing to keep the ideas suppressed. With each key collected, the world is falling apart at the seams, with literal holes appearing, showing you glimpses of what Sonny remains so afraid of. Your friends are forgetting everything about Basil, and the coral and shadow Basil tell you things, lead you to things that it appears the bulb is supposed to keep repressed. Or maybe Sonny is simply beginning to wake up. We've received all the answers the branch coral can, or perhaps is willing, to give you. It offers you a challenge, and promises that you will gain great power and headspace should you complete it. It is simple without thought, and if you succeed, I will be gone as well. I offer you this sacrifice. You accept. All you have to do is eat a red, juicy apple. Simple, right? A branch coral. It is not alive. With nothing else to gain, you move on. Coming closer to the depths of the caverns, you meet one final figure before reaching the end, named Mute. An unhallowed burden has been placed upon you. You have the power to change the future. What will you do, dreamer? What will you do? Finally, at the end of the caverns, you meet a giant blue whale. the oldest, a parasite within himself. But he doesn't seem like a parasite. He's friendly, telling you that Sweetheart has climbed into his stomach to meet with the 3 sea witch sisters that call Humphrey their home. The return to the whimsy seems really jarring after all you experienced on just the short path to Humphrey. Humphrey offers to let you in, effectively eating you. This is slightly disconcerting, but you head in through Humphrey's mouth regardless of any reluctance. You are now inside Humphrey, presented with 3 directions to go. Each one leads to one of the Sea Witch's lairs, each with their own set of challenges and puzzles. You have to visit all 3 to move on, watching Sweetheart reject every creation the witches produce. Along the way, there are many fun activities. Bomb defusal, motion sickness, discussing how much you fucking love air conditioning, and this thing. After some time has passed, exploring Humphrey's interior, you eventually spot something familiar. It's Basil's flower crown. Not a single one of your friends recognize it, and Kel callously kicks it into the void of Humphrey's innards, losing it forever. It might seem small, and maybe even kind of ridiculous to say, but this moment is really sad to me. Basil is gone. Forgotten completely. He was just another risk. Another repressed idea. And his last remembrance in this world, fake as it may be, has just been lost. Never to be seen again. And just like that, you move on. Eventually you collect a slimy keycard, allowing you to descend to the core of Humphrey from the first room. You arrive just in time to meet Sweetheart as she flees the sisters as they demand payment for their work. Sweetheart, of course, refuses, fleeing and getting incapacitated by Humphrey, but not before saddling you with her crippling debt, and unsurprisingly you can't afford the costs of genetic engineering and creation of artificial life. So the sisters simply elect to brutally murder Kel, sell off his organs, and keep the rest of you as pets. I don't think I have to tell you that you don't like this plan, so their boss fight starts and... Well, I mean, I could be a pet. I can't believe I wrote that. I fucking wrote that, man. What is wrong with me? So, yeah, the boss fight, right? The fight against the slime girls is pretty good. Their mechanics are pretty cool, with random emotion influence being present, disrupting your plans, forcing you to improvise with what you have, wasting time fixing your emotions, or burn an item to get back on track. They also pose a not insignificant threat, with their damage potential being high even with debuffs, similar to Pluto. They also do something really interesting part of the way through the battle, switching your heart and juice around, which could lead to a really fast loss if you're not careful. The game's strengths are also really evident here, with the music being good and the artwork being phenomenal here. Each sister's personality shines through, which to me is really impressive considering that it's just a single image that the 3 share. Also, it kind of just makes sense to me that these 3 would be rattling around in a teenage boy's head while he's asleep. So yeah, even ignoring the bias I may or may not have.
Got my shit, okay. Yeah. Oh fuck, okay. Oh, I didn't know I had that mod on!
The character design is still really strong and makes sense in the setting, so the slime girls get an A tier from me. Once they lose the fight, they decide it's not worth the effort, and decide to just feed Humphrey themselves, until they realize none of them were actually prepared to feed him. They very briefly consider escape before Humphrey swallows them from below. He then turns his attention to you. You make a mad dash for escape, but Humphrey easily traps you and forces you into another fight. Humphrey is the weaker of the two fights in my opinion. Not so much in actual fighting strength, but more in the mechanics. Although he's not exactly difficult either. For reference, the fandom wiki recommends that you be at least level 30 before fighting him, but I kinda just trounced him at level 25. Humphrey relies entirely on raw power to pose a threat, but debuffs kind of just negate him. He can't influence emotions at all, so he's completely unable to force a strategy change. He does do a kind of lifesteal on a swallow attack, which is kind of interesting, but to be honest, it doesn't really make him more challenging, nor does it meaningfully increase the fight duration. It's still a memorable fight though, mostly due to there being 3 main unique phases to the fight, each with different attacks and behaviors. It isn't terrible, it's just not as good as some of the others. Humphrey gets a C tier. After his defeat, Humphrey ejects you through his blowhole, before retreating back below the water surface. And, for the last time, your friends question why you set out, confirming absolutely that they've forgotten. You're the only one who knows, and you're the only one who can save him. You collect the final key that Humphrey spat out alongside you, finally spelling out, "Welcome to Black Space." You enter the hole left by the key.
Stay away. You are not my son. Why? Why won't you fall?
You leave the man to his task. You enter the whirlpool previously blocked by Humphrey and arrive in a corridor, swimming in a strange pink and red liquid. A voice speaks. You have come again to seek the truth. Each time your adventures may be disparate, but as your journey nears its end, it will always lead you back here. The truth. The truth is always the same. The path to the truth was once here, but it has been removed. It was moved to a lighthouse and a pier, then to a library banished deep underground, and after that, to an old barn on a distant planet, and this time, it will be in the heart of a vast forest. No matter how many times the path is concealed, the flower boy will always find it, and your dear sister Mari, she will always guide you to it. Even as hollow shells, they will continue to evolve, and each time they will grow wings and fly too close to the sun. It is their nature. They are the only ones who know, and one has carried it with her to her grave. Death may be no danger here, but the memories of them do not fade so easily. Many times your friends have met with an unfortunate fate. Although they are revived time and again, the most haunting stay in this world, even if only their bones remain. Your dear sister Mari with a bad knee. You could not bear for her to die again, so she was given the safety of a picnic blanket. Yet it is her nature to leave and to protect, and when she does, she will leave you again and be born anew, with the undying soul you have cursed her with. The souls assigned to your friends, they are fragile and must be protected, and so they must remain asleep. The path to the truth is closer to your most precious room than ever before. Will you be able to bury it this time? The end of this journey will lead to suffering, but if you do not face this, you cannot continue. This form, though it has not shown its true self, is evil. You will not see that unless you fight it. Will you be doomed to repeat this cycle over and over? Or will you break it? Explore this world while you can, dreamer, until there is nothing left. You interact with a painting of something and appear back in neighbor's room. You start down the path to Basil's house, and on the way you're stopped by his voice. He tells you about each flower, just like at the beginning of the game. But something is different, namely the description given for the white tulips. OMORI, or rather Sunny, is described in a far different way than before. These are white tulips. Tulips aren't very flashy plants. They're not too big or small, not too elaborate or flamboyant. If I could put it another way, I guess I would say that they're comfortable. Simple, modest, and perfect. Just like Sunny. This one little line change tells us so much. Sunny is drowning in self-loathing, to the point that he's actively suppressing any memory in which he's portrayed positively, omitting them from his mind, or replacing them with far more cruel ideas. Or even in small things like how all of his friends are colourful in Headspace, while OMORI, Sunny's stand-in, is monochromatic, plain, flat. He feels such inferiority to the people who call him a friend, and it's tragic. It's honestly incredible how much this one thing says to us about Sunny and how he feels about himself. You walk past the flowers and notice that the path to Basil's house is longer. And not by a little bit either. Eventually, you do reach Basil's house, and everything around it is dead, with familiar black hands reaching up out of the water. There's a black sludge spilling from under the front door. It seems the entirety of Headspace is trying to get you to leave it be, making every step towards it as uncomfortable as it conceivably could be. As you walk up to the house itself, Sunny's mind pulls the last trick it can think of, having Aubrey appeal to you, saying she's scared, asking you to please turn back. But you've come too far to leave now. You enter the house, and dive down the hole. Pitch black water all around. You come to a beach, go north through a forest while cutting through webs, and finally climb up the stairs, working backwards through every phobia you've faced so far, moving backwards in memory, backwards in time. Mari's coffin, surrounded by white egret orchids. My thoughts will follow you into your dreams, remember? You walk through the black door left where Mari just was. Welcome to Black Space. The black light bulb is gone, and you are left to the mercy of every repressed idea you've been safe from so far. Each door in Black Space is filled with horrific sights and sounds, a spilling of anxieties and childhood memories and ideas onto a canvas that produces something truly nightmarish. I think Shadow Basil, or rather, the Stranger, puts it best.
These rooms, are full of broken things. But at least in here, I can see who you really are. The world above this one. Did you make it to protect this place? Or to hide it away? Either way, it's become more powerful than you.
You find the first key in front of a crudely drawn picture of a window, and red hands appear to whisk you back to the main area of black space. Inside the second door, you meet the stranger once again. He reaffirms to you that regardless of the confusion, you must find the truth, because, after all, it's for the both of you. Basil knows this truth, and it changed him, turned him into the Basil you've come to recognize in the real world. After you return to the center of black space, you notice your notebook, now sitting on the floor. Looking inside, it's noticeably different. At first you question if you're seeing things, or if some of the drawings have always looked that way. But before long, you have your answer. Inside the third door, you find the third key in the pitch black space, below the feet of 3 huge figures, much greater than you are. Your laptop appears on the floor, but all it shows is static. Behind the fourth door, you head south through a grey town filled with sagging figures and massive figures of animals, to meet the stranger near the end of the town.
When you hid the truth, you sealed a part of me away with it. He's been waiting for someone to save him all this time. On that day, when you became nothing, I was split in half. Which do you think was more painful?
You collect the key. Behind the fifth door, you find yourself in a forest. It's filled with visions of Mari, but it's hard to recognize her when she looks so mangled. You eventually come to a stump you should be starting to recognize.
Sonny, I love you.
No matter how fast or how far you run, you can't shake it. It won't let you go. Following a set of bloody footprints, you find the key.
Sonny, I love you.
Behind the next door, you'll see the scene that I showed at the beginning of the video. You don't actually have to cut open Muo. The room is entirely escapable by simply opening your menu and choosing to stab yourself after the butler gives you the key. But of course, you haven't been able to open your menu since you entered black space. So the only way that you'd know this is an option is by cutting open Muo and seeing the butler ask, waiting for something to happen? Which, at this point, is a line you've grown to associate with stabbing yourself. It really succeeds in making you feel like a monster. A horrible person who would kill an innocent animal just to progress, even though it wasn't necessary. It's not only brilliant in how it portrays low self-esteem that comes from depression, but it's also relevant later on. Behind door number 6, you arrive, again, in a forest. Trees seem to be rather prominent in Sonny's mind, especially that stump we saw earlier. Moving forward, you find a flower crown on the ground. The same one that Kel kicked into the abyss earlier. Did it end up here? If so, how? How did it arrive here, in the depths of Sonny's subconscious? Continuing past where you collect it, melons start appearing, the same ones you've been opening in Headspace to collect items for the whole game. Clearly, the key must be inside one of these watermelons. Moving from melon to melon, you run into Basil. Finally. At long last, you're reunited with Basil. You've accomplished what you set out to do, and now you can face the horrors of black space together. Walking onwards, he talks to you, keeping you company as you continue smashing watermelons, as the world fades to black and is replaced by a void with only watermelons inside. One after another. Smash, 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 smash. Basil falls apart behind you. You smash the watermelon and collect your key. Finally, you arrive at a beach. It's markedly peaceful, a welcome respite. The stranger stands staring out over the ocean. Photos are scattered on the ground, and trying to pick them up, they're scribbled out. You speak to the stranger.
Our friends who have suffered because of us, can we still call them friends? No matter how much I want it, things can't go back to the way they were before. But why does part of me still cling on? Is there hope left for us, Sonny?
You collect your key from the ocean. Now in central black space, there's a new door with a red light shining down on it. There's more doors to explore in black space, but being desperate to get out of this hellhole, you enter through it. You emerge to a snowy mountain, leading up to a church at the top. All of the people inside are black scribbles. Reaching the top, you meet Basil, and the stranger walks up behind you to speak with you one last time.
Sonny, the truth is here. You've been running from this for so long, but this time we can face it together.
The stranger is reunited with his other half, and you walk up the flight of stairs to face Basil, who's held by tendrils of something. Sonny, why did it end up like this? Sonny, I'm so sorry. Will you forgive me? My best friend. You need to dive in after him. You need to save him. Just like before. You're in your living room, facing the door to the back garden. A door you haven't been able to open yet. The red light you've seen in every nightmare sequence shines from it. There's something out there. It's calling me. And it's calling you too. Let's go together. But OMORI backs away. All that's left are the desperate claw marks he left on the ground. You follow the bloody claw marks forward and find Basil, restrained by red hands. He begs you. He begs Sonny to tell the red hands to let him go. They're hurting him. Sonny does not respond. But OMORI. OMORI tramples Basil's corpse. And sits atop his throne of red hands. Let's talk for a second about everything we just saw. I think that black space is the pinnacle of OMORI's horror. The horror in Omori is disinterested in making you jump all that much. Sure, there are some jump scares in Omori, but those moments aren't the most terrifying parts of the game. Even moments that aren't necessarily frightening in the traditional way still feel filled with the same dread. Let's take the punishment room, the scene where you are told to cut open Muo. You're not being threatened in that scenario, but the frantic tones of the backing track fill you with a kind of desperation to get out as quickly as you can. If I can just do this one thing, it'll stop. If I can find the will to cut open Muo, the panic will stop. And when I cut open Muo, just to find that it wouldn't, I was destroyed. Everything in Black Space is a stand-in for Sunny's mental state. Every fear, every anxiety manifests into a traversable space. It's complete discord. A deeply uncomfortable amalgam of bright lights and loud, unrecognizable sounds. To find the truth that he's been told about by so many within his mind, he has to delve into the deepest and darkest reaches of it, filled with emotions and experiences he never wanted to see again. To break yourself out of depression, you need to go to some deeply uncomfortable places within yourself. What happens afterwards is entirely reliant on you and your choices. But I'm getting ahead of myself. You pick yourself up off the ground, and you begin to hear someone playing the piano. Hiro isn't in bed, so it seems reasonable to assume it's him. When you reach the piano room, you see Mari? She apologizes to you, saying that she pushed you too hard for inviting you to play with her, because you never did get to play together at your recital. Hiro barges in, and Mari is gone. But Hiro says something important, something very important. I just don't understand why she chose to leave us the way she did. When you leave the room, you can spot the door on the left from earlier, visible for the first time. But when you interact with it, Sunny shakes his head and affirms to himself, there is nothing here. If you decide to try the back door after leaving through it at the end of Black Space, you'll find that Sunny is finally ready in some measure to face what's out there. You catch sight of a stump with something on top of it, and Sunny backs away. I shouldn't have to spell out what this is all alluding to. The imagery of nooses, all the trees in Black Space, and of course, Hiro's line. It left Sunny's home fractured, with his happy family falling apart at the seams, and led to Sunny's unimaginable depression. But something should tell you that this isn't the whole story. You go back to bed, hoping that the morning brings you some closure. Hiro greets you at your bedroom door and invites you downstairs for breakfast. Heading downstairs, you meet Kel, but before you get to eat anything, the doorbell rings. It's Kim. She tells you that something is wrong with Aubrey, that she refuses to come out of her house. After Hiro knocks on the door to no response, you decide to enter. The place is a shithole. Rubbish coats the floor with beer bottles and cans laid everywhere, and an ashtray just sitting on the floor. Aubrey's mother is completely unresponsive. You can't tell if she's passed out or if she just doesn't care. And to be honest, I can't tell you which one would be worse. It's no wonder Aubrey felt so abandoned. You go through the house to Aubrey's room. After talking with you for a little while, Aubrey agrees to return the photos of Mari to the photo album. She took them to keep the little pieces of Mari that are left with her. It's really sweet, but these photos don't belong to her. The album's almost complete now, missing only one picture. Aubrey agrees to come with you to Basil's house so she can apologize. And at last, you're all back together, even if it is only for one day. However, reaching Basil's house, Polly tells you that Basil isn't home, because he's visiting his grandmother at the hospital. You all head back to your house to see your treehouse one last time before you go. This is where Mari... Yeah, it is. It happened on the day of the recital Sonny and Mari had together. Everyone had been out all day, buying nice clothes to go and see them perform. They never saw that performance. Hero asks to move along, tearing up at the memory. You oblige. The treehouse is run down, being overgrown and musty, but the toys from the past are still there. One single photo is stuck to the wall. Don't forget, it's in the toy box. You place the final photo into the album and complete it. The photos in the album tell the story of Sonny and his friends, right up until the day before the recital. What's worth noting is that Mari was happy. It's not that I think these photos could ever show all aspects of a life. Mari had a happy life with her friends, whom she loved dearly. Even the most cheerful people can fall into depression, and hide it well at that, but something's different here. Something's missing. After looking at the completed album, Aubrey runs out, and you find her standing in front of the stump as she walks up to it and places a pinwheel on top of it. A visual representation of her desire to move on. Aubrey then explains why she stole the photo album. She had found it in Basil's house, and upon opening it, found all the photos scribbled over with black marker. Remind you of anything? Because it reminds Sonny of something. As Aubrey breaks down and falls to the ground, Sonny backs away, disturbed by the information. Sonny's discomfort is made clear by Kel and Hero rushing to Aubrey, but Sonny stays well back. Hero pulls everyone in for a group hug, and the moment is quickly forgotten. It's time to head back to Basil's house. Along the way, you see something strange. Basil's grandmother, standing in the middle of the street, before vanishing right before your eyes. You carry on, not thinking too much about it. Upon reaching Basil's house, Polly tells you that Basil won't come out of his room and refuses to speak to anyone. You head inside with your friends. Basil stays silent despite your best efforts. You decide to stay over to be there for him, because you know he needs you all, and for the first time in a long while, you can all be there for him. You spend some time with everyone, before one by one, you all fall asleep. You wake up in white space, but things are different this time. The divide between Sunny and OMORI is wider than ever before. You look OMORI in the eyes, and you smash the light bulb. It's finally time to stop running. This is a gauntlet of every phobia you face so far. Until you at last see the true shape of something. It sways in the wind. You feel like your life is in danger. Your lungs tighten up. Your heart beats out of your chest. Your fingers won't stop trembling. You hear your breathing begin to steady. You hear your heart begin to steady. You gather all your courage and learn to overcome. It's over. All that's left is a light bulb, an idea. You feel like your life is in danger. That is the single most powerful line in this game. An anxiety attack doesn't feel like a fear of something you can fight or run from, at least not in my experience. It's simply the overwhelming feeling that your life is about to end. There can be catalysts, much like Sonny has with facing the image of his sister. It causes so much stress that it feels like staring down the barrel of a gun. It's the greatest portrayal of an anxiety attack I've ever seen. You pick up the light bulb and step into the light. A bright, colorful forest stands before you. As you walk forward, you find seemingly random photos, and upon viewing them, the gates blocking your path open. After passing through the gates, you meet Basil under the shadow of a massive tree. The truth of that day will be hard to accept, and when you see it, you have to stay strong. And if you can, please, forgive me. Basil gives you his photo album and steps aside to let you enter the tree. It's your living room. Mom is crying on the couch. My only daughter is gone. And you are my only son. I can't lose you as well. Please, be a good boy, Sonny. Please be a good boy. You pick up the two photos on the ground and move to the hallway. A hospital. Each bed is occupied by a body, each one breathing steadily. You pick up a photo, and a few of them disappear. Another photo, more disappear. A third photo, and you climb through the window. A body at the end of the stairs. You collect photos as you walk down, retracing Sunny's steps. You pick up the final photo. This person is not breathing. Sunny, don't worry. Everything is going to be okay. It is the day of the recital. You leave the room. You're at the stage where the recital was supposed to happen 4 years ago. Something keeps you from your sheet music. You walk into the darkness, pick up a photo, and lose a finger. As you pick up more and more photos, each one costs you a finger, and with each one Sunny tracks more blood behind him. A photo appears behind the sheet music, and upon picking it up, it's completely dark. All you can see is a spotlight shining down on a photo on the ground. Another appears across the room. It was Sunny. Sunny killed Mari. You're back where you saw Basil get dragged off by the hands in black space. Even his desperate claw marks are still present. Now, you can illuminate the complete truth. You screw in the light bulb. You get a good look at what Sunny has become. A misshapen, monstrous figure. Something pulses around the photo on the floor. You pick it up. And the back door opens. You are back in the forest, moving through each gate as you pick up and place more photos in your album. You arrive back at the tree. And with the last photo in hand, we can finally piece together the full story of what happened on that day. This is unused text found in the game files, but I feel it makes the plot a lot clearer. You heard some scoffing from behind a wall, but you paid it no notice. You were in no mood to focus. You were overcame. You were sick of everything. You know it wasn't a big deal, but you couldn't control yourself. Your precious violin lay shattered at the bottom of the staircase. You threw it in a rage. Your fingers were shaking in pain, practicing over and over, but you still make mistake after mistake. This was all a bad idea. Mari was yelling at you. You couldn't understand what she was saying. She didn't understand you at all. She didn't understand that you just weren't good enough. The only thing you held on to was your anger. This pain, was it her fault? Mari blocked your path. She says that she isn't finished talking. She tells you not to run away. But why not? You did all of this for her. Why was she yelling at you? You didn't understand. You lose all sense, then push her down the staircase. You watched Mari crush on top of your broken violin. The sound wakes you up to nothing but silence. You called out to her, but she didn't answer. Your heart sinks into your stomach. It happened in an instant. You didn't mean to do that. Well, You did mean to push her, didn't you? It was an accident, right? You're not sure. You tremble your way down the staircase. You call her name, but she doesn't answer. You sweep the bits of wood from her body. Nothing but scratches. You turn her around and see her face. She looks asleep. But then, why isn't she answering? You pick up Mari and drag her up the stairs. She feels lighter than you think. She just needs to lie down in bed. She just needs some rest. Your heart beats out of your chest. Your head feels fuzzy. You lose vision. You push the door to the bedroom open and make your way to her bed. She's going to be okay, right? This is just a dream, right? You call her name over and over, but she doesn't answer. You watch the light from the window cast a shadow over her face. She's expressionless. You sink your fingers into her arm and break down in tears. You want to scream for help, but you're afraid. You mumble to yourself. What if they ask what happened? There's no way you can tell them the truth. Who would be able to forgive you? Who would believe that it was an accident? A whisper comes from behind you, but you ignore it. A cry comes from behind you, but you ignore it. You cover your face with your arms. This isn't real. None of this is real. Why won't you wake up? Everything appears dark. The shadows slither around you. You don't understand what is happening. Your head starts to feel fuzzy. You sink into a crevice in your mind. An empty white room. Your shoulders feel heavy. A familiar voice whispers something unspeakable. Your eyes widen. It tells you to follow its lead. It says that everything will be okay. You pick up Mari's body and lift it down the staircase. She feels lighter than you think. You feel multiple eyes shift their gaze to you. You keep your eyes towards the ground. You hear the sliding of a familiar door. A voice tells you to walk. A gust of wind enters the room as the light outside engulfs you. You keep your eyes towards the ground. As you face forward, you listen to the crunching of the grass and feel the coolness of the wind. You hear the leaves in the trees riffle as the sun begins to set, but you try to ignore it. It's all just a dream. You lay down Mari's body and look up for the first time. Small rays of light shine through the cracks in the leaves. You relish in its beauty and savor the moment. You think, even if this is all real, if you keep looking at the leaves, that everything will be okay. You hear pacing, the crunching of the grass sifting back and forth. You see a figure pick up something off the ground, but you're not sure. You keep staring at the leaves overhead. Everything will be okay. You think everything will be okay. You hear shuffling. You hear dragging and creaking and pulling. Something is happening, but you refuse to look away from the leaves. Your head feels fuzzy again. You bite your tongue and attempt to wake up one last time, but it's no use. You're still here. You feel a cold hand clutch yours. You try to jerk away, but it squeezes back, unwilling to let you go. The hand drags you backwards. You look up and see your best friend for the first time. Basil. You see the tears falling from his tired eyes as he looks ahead. You suddenly realize that none of this is a dream. All of this is real. As you and Basil step into the house, you look back towards the trees and see it. The light engulfs it as it sways in the wind. For a moment, you feel at peace. You hate yourself for feeling this way. Is that all then? Is everything going to be okay now? Suddenly, Basil stops. You look up at his eyes, but this time they're wide awake, staring at something. You turn your eyes towards it as well, though you wish you didn't. An eye meets yours. Your heart sinks into your stomach. You shouldn't have looked back. You just shouldn't have looked. You jolt awake. You know. Sonny knows. But something is wrong. Very wrong. You need to talk to Basil. This time, if Sonny does nothing, Basil will die. So, do you want to save Basil? Ah, Sonny, it's just you. I'm glad you came. It came to you that day. The day Mari died. When Mari fell, you couldn't have done it. It was something behind you, wasn't it? You're a good person, Sonny. A good person wouldn't do something like that. After all this time, you finally come back for me. But tomorrow, you're going away. How could you do that? That's mean, Sonny. That's so mean. There's something all around us now. There's no way out of this, is there? Where are you going? Stop trying to leave me. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. No, you wouldn't leave me. That's not like you, Sonny. It's something behind you again, isn't it? When something killed Mari, when something ruined all of my photos, I didn't say anything. I didn't want people to think it was you, Sonny. Something behind you. I'll get rid of it once and for all. Everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. You try to calm down. Your lungs fight to breathe. You want to run away. With every hit, your stress rises until eventually it gets too much. You can hear it. The bloodiness of the fight. Every attack is another stab, another cut. Why? Why won't you stop? Basil attacks, and you lose an eye. Exhausted, you both collapse. As the sound of sirens closes in. It's time to go home. You follow Muo to the west until you finally find your way. and meet Basil standing outside your house. All this pain we've been feeling, the guilt in our hearts, even if you try to bottle it all up, it all comes out somehow. I want to say that everything will be okay. We have no choice but to carry on. But that's up to you. Aubrey, Kel, and Hero are good friends. You have to trust that they'll forgive us. Basil leaves, and you enter your home. You meet Mari in the piano room, and once again, she asks you to forgive yourself for what you've done. We all make mistakes. You've been running from this one for a long time now. You leave the piano room, and the closet door once again reappears. But this time, you're ready to enter. The toy box sits under the shadow of a black light bulb. Strands of long black hair are entangled with its strings. The paper is torn and wrinkled by blood, but it can still be read. You go to leave the house, and as you reach the door, the world falls away, replaced by a dark, rainy road. As you walk along the road, streetlights come to life one after another, and stepping into the light shows you a memory from the photo album. You see your friends playing a card game, a day at the beach. You learn how Sunny feels towards Aubrey. You see a picnic by the lake, Basil's birthday party, and finally, the Christmas where Sunny was gifted his violin. You remembered the anxious feeling in your heart as you played the first note on your new violin, that it scared you, but you didn't mind because they believed in you, and no matter what, you didn't want to disappoint them because they were your friends. At the end of the road, you come to the stage once again. Your friends are here for you. They tell you that just because you've done something terrible, that doesn't make you a monster. But this isn't a fairy tale or some shitty anime. Your friends can comfort you. They can pick you up when you fall. But at the end of the day, you have to face this alone. Your friends disappear from behind you. You step onto the stage and begin. Once again, you find yourself in white space, face to face with OMORI, with your guilt, your self-loathing. OMORI assumes his stance as the rest of white space fades. You know what you have to do. Each time OMORI comes close to consuming you, you think of your friends and, eventually, he speaks. You've caused so much suffering, yet you do nothing. And so you've earned nothing in return. Your friends will never forgive you. They'll abandon you like you did them. And that's what you deserve. OMORI did not succumb. You tell yourself that you don't want to burden others, but the truth is that you're selfish. You just don't want people to depend on you. When do you think about others? How long are you going to let people take care of you? You say you care, but you're a liar. You've never done anything for anyone else. You're useless. Less than useless. You're sick. People like you don't deserve to live. OMORI did not succumb. Your friends are wrong about you. The person they love isn't you at all. You let them believe in a lie to protect yourself. You're nothing but a liar. And when they see the truth, they'll hate you as much as you hate yourself. If they know the truth, you'll never be able to regain their trust. No matter what you do, it will be hopeless. All you'll do is make things worse. It would be better to just die.
OMORI will not succumb.
You killed Mari. She loved you and you killed her. Hero loved her and you killed her. Aubrey loved her and you killed her. Kel loved her and you killed her. Basil loved her and you killed her. You loved her and you killed her.
OMORI will not succumb.
You should just die. You lose. Maybe it was never possible to win this. Maybe you should just give up. Do you want to continue? You raise your violin a final time and play. You take a bow and leave white space for the last time. You climb out of bed. You have one final thing you need to do. On the way, you see your friends from Headspace. But you don't need them anymore. Like every time before, you follow the stranger to where you need to be. Sunny smiles at Basil, and both are finally liberated from the guilt that's haunted them for so long. And that's OMORI.
Thank you for watching. I just woke up after going to bed at 9 AM because I decided that I was going to finish this if it killed me. Please, please go buy OMORI. It's such a beautiful game. There's so much more than just what I've shown you. A whole host of other endings, optional bosses and other routes, a boss rush and so much more, all for around €15. It's on Steam, Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, literally everything. It's absolutely worth your time, and I promise you, you will enjoy it if you enjoyed this video even a little bit. I'm gonna make more videos. I have 2 ideas right now that I'm choosing between. Kinda depends on if I can upgrade my PC, because Bessie is getting on in years and editing this almost killed her. This took a really, really long time to make. Like a really long time, so call to action, like and subscribe, I guess. Call me names in the comments. And one last time, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.